Good afternoon, folks. I am going to change up my technology today a little bit and try this video on my webcam on my new laptop and see how this works. So forgive me if the quality suffers in any way. Hopefully it will work fine. It seems to do fine in the with adequate lighting, but it doesn't work so well at night. Anyways, so this is I believe the 21st or 20th watch viewer video, and it is a woman named Ambrosia, and this is the first watch collection video from a woman that I've done, which is, it's kind of nice to get some female voices into the mix. Ambrosia sent me an email about a week ago, and I'll read it to you in a moment, but it's just really thoughtful. I really appreciate yeah, I think you guys will like it. Anyways, her video, just as sort of or her email, it's not really a collection review at all, actually, I would say. Although I will show her collection, and I'll talk about it. But it's more of a philosophical inquiry, so I'll just get to it. So I'll read Ambrosia's email. Hi, Johnny. I'd just like to start off by saying that I've been following your channel for some time now, and I thoroughly enjoy your videos, especially your more philosophical ones. Me too. I appreciate that. I don't know if you do viewer collection videos, entertain questions regarding timepieces for women. I gotta turn the music down just a little bit. But my question is really more of a philosophical one. If you do, I was hoping to get some insight. Now, just to respond to that, of course, I do videos for everyone. I'm not biased against women at all. I don't know anything about women's timepieces. I haven't researched that at all. I've kind of hinted. I've tried to get my wife to consider me buying her a watch, but she just doesn't. She's not interested at all. She doesn't have that bug. So, anyways. So if you do, I was hoping to get some insight. I'm a 24-year-old corporate lawyer, and I currently own 3 timepieces: a Cartier Ballon Bleu steel, which functions as my day watch on the weekends. For example, I wear it to brunch, I wear it while playing tennis, etc. A Patek Philippe Calatrava ladies white gold, which is what I wear in a professional setting, in the office and at meetings, and a Cartier Tank Americaine, case in 18-karat pink gold, set with brilliant cut diamonds, strap in shiny black alligator skin with adjustable folding buckle in 18-karat pink gold, which is what I wear as an evening watch for more formal events, for example, dinner, galas, etc. Watches are pictures of what they look like. So attached are pictures of what they look like. So she has some pictures, which they're not pictures of her actual watches. It'd be great if I could see that too, Ambrosia, if you ever get a chance. But I will throw those on here so you can just see what she's talking about at least. Oh. How about that for professionalism? Anyways, as of right now, there aren't any watches I'd like to acquire in the short term, although I am on the lookout for the perfect dive watch. So folks, if you can think of the perfect dive watch for a woman, please comment below. Nevertheless, I find myself being able to appreciate gorgeous timepieces that sit on the wrists of just about anyone else. They make great conversation starters. This leads me to my main question, or rather what I'd like you to talk about. Do you think one should own a few signature timepieces or cultivate a collection? So let me just rephrase that so we get the basic question, then she'll explore that a little bit more. Do you think one should own a few signature timepieces or cultivate a collection? On the surface, I suppose it's a pretty straightforward question, and the answer would be that it depends on the individual concerned, their lifestyle, evolving tastes and preferences, disposable income, etc. But my point about owning a few signature timepieces is in the context of developing one's signature style, if you will. I found myself being drawn to those aforementioned pieces due to their functionality and versatility, and the fact that they were relatively understated pieces that weren't too loud. Essentially, they spoke to me and my sensibilities on some level. When I look at my collection, I think that it is rather balanced and cohesive as far as collections go. In contrast, for instance, my brother and mother each own very large collections, about 30 watches each. Their collections include several divine and unique pieces. However, their collections lack any sense of cohesion, in my opinion. This isn't necessarily a bad thing, or is it? On the other hand, my dad has owned a modest two-piece collection, a more dressy Patek, and a relatively more sporty Rolex his entire life. In a world increasingly obsessed with personal branding, what role do you think a smaller, cohesive collection of several signature timepieces has to play? Can a true aficionado be in possession of a modest, in terms of size, collection of timepieces? Does it make him any less of an aficionado? As we embrace minimalism as a culture, do you think a scaling back of size of watch collections, for instance, is inevitable? Is it desirable? I know you've spoken about scaling back your personal collection in one of your videos, and making room for other pieces you want. And you talk about the existence of an aspiration gap, the gap between what one has and what one aspires to. Does that aspiration gap cease to exist when one has ample resources to expand one's collection, but chooses not to do so because one is truly content with his/her existing, albeit modest, in terms of size, collection? Does having fewer pieces, which you wear all the time, and that you and other people who know you regard as quintessentially you, project a certain confidence that we could all strive for? Sorry for rambling. You need not apologize. Thank you for your time and for reading this lengthy email. P.S. I know you have touched briefly on some of these points in your videos, but for clarity's sake, I'm not really dwelling on the notion of an ideal watch collection size, but an overarching ethos, I suppose. Warmest regards, Ambrosia. What a great email. To me, this is you know, the first thing that comes to mind, I mean, I think right off the bat, Ambrosia, you were suggesting that it's on the surface, it's pretty straightforward that we just, should buy what we like, and it depends upon our lifestyle, income, etc. But I understand that you're looking for something more substantial than that. It's not simply, or it's not so simple that just whatever, right? Like what is underneath this? And I think it's a pretty open-ended question. I don't think there's a right or wrong answer, and maybe that's a little too blasé on my part to I don't want to cop out by saying that, because I do want to talk about these questions you raise, but I do take the approach that there isn't as much like the right or wrong answer. In a way, it reminds me of, philosophically speaking and scientifically speaking, starting around 1500 or so, we started shifting into this more science-based paradigm, and we started investigating the world empirically in a new way. The world became, where it was flat, then it became round. All of a sudden, it was heliocentric rather than geocentric, and we had this new way of seeing the world, which was that everything can be understood through just exploring it out there. And it became this empirical, objective reality, and all we had to do was figure out what it was, right? It was there to be found. Now, more recently, in the 20th century, that started breaking down. I think it broke down partially, because that approach heightened and crystallized into the 19th century outlook, which was very strongly materialistic, very strongly like there's the objective world, and we're just discovering it, and it's all physical. But starting around the turn of the 19th into 20th century, in numerous fields, but certainly in science, you had these new quantum chaos and relativity theories that came out that started breaking down the myth of the objective universe, so to speak. And so you had more uncertainty come in, more of the unknown. And of course, this also led to the idea of different postmodern ideas, structuralism and contextualism and so forth. And the idea that whenever there's a universe, there's an object, there's a subject. So it's not just simply that I am exploring the objective universe, it's that there's a subject who is perceiving something. And really all that I'm perceiving is my own subjective take on whatever's out there. So I don't mean to go off too much on this tangent, but I think if we take that idea that whatever view we have or whatever we're searching for, the old approach of finding the objective truth no longer works. Really what comes down, it's like it's enacting different paradigms in a way. And I think that's what we're moving more and more into, where there's different ways of, because now we have the entirety of the world's cultures and philosophies and religions and traditions, at the click of our fingers, or at least some version of it on the internet. But also we just have this amazing dialogue, this global dialogue of all things out there, accessible, interchangeable. And if you live in the developed West, you have a fair amount of choice as to what parts you put together. The freedom is there. Now the education and the awareness isn't really there necessarily. People don't realize how free we are to live, to be. I mean, and to some degree we're stuck within the economic social structure that we have. But this is quite talk about a ramble, or a tangent. But I think just in terms of even approaching your question, it's not, there's not one way that's right or wrong, but it's, in a way, it's like, which paradigm do you want to live within? Which paradigm do you want to enact? So on one hand, you have a few signature timepieces, on the other, cultivating a collection. There are two different paradigms, and one's not right and the other wrong, but they do enact different realities, different experiences of watch collecting. In the same sense that the basic, I did a video not long ago which I was talking about the two basic polar philosophies, one which boils down to buy what you like and enjoy what you like, and the other is move up the hierarchy, get the best watch you can afford, and just keep on doing that. And so I was trying to integrate both. I definitely veer more towards the former, because I think it's more, in a way, a kinder worldview. It's more based upon individuality, whereas the latter, it has the awareness of quality and subtlety, but it doesn't. It becomes too monolithic, too objectifying. So both of those have truth to them, and I think to what degree I integrate them is up to me, just as everyone, all watch collectors. So I think in a way the same can be said of this idea of a few signature timepieces versus cultivating a collection. And I actually think that these two impulses war within all of us to some degree. A Gentleman's Life did a video a week or two ago, which I was going to respond to, but I haven't gotten around to, but I could even fold that in a little bit here because I think it's relevant, where he was talking about, can you own watches that aren't in your collection, right? Is it possible to own watches that aren't in your collection? Now, of course, I was going to suggest to him that if you own a watch, it's part of your collection, but why not think about sub-collections? You might have your total collection, which is all the watches you have, and then there's your primary rotation, or then there's, like there was a collection video I did a while ago, a few weeks ago maybe. I forget the name. I think it might have been that mega long one. Matt, I think. I'm not sure. But the basic, like, he had his rotation watches, and then he had his military vintage collection. So he had two sub collections, and one was his main collection, but the other one was an ongoing collection that he was creating. And I think that so all of us, that we war with this idea of like wanting something really cohesive, as you really described quite well, Ambrosia. I really like how you put all that, this balance and cohesion. And in a way, this few signature timepieces, it's more like the Zen garden, the Japanese garden, or the bonsai tree, where it's like, it's about creating something that's coherent, cohesive, that has harmony with itself, It's the watch is the whole collection. And I think that's what the few signature timepieces is, versus just having a collection of all the watches that you could possibly like, and you just add to it. Um, and that's a tension, between those two polarities. Jeffrey McMahon, I think, struggles with that same tension, like wanting new watches, but then getting too many watches and not enjoying what you have. That's another aspect of it. For some of us, including myself, the more watches I own, in a way, there's like, I have 100 enjoyment points, right? And I can only spread those into so many watches. If I have 20 watches, that's an average of 5 enjoyment points per watch. If I have 5 watches, it's an average of 20 points. Now, of course, that's a little crude. That isn't really literally true. But I'm just using that as a model to express something, which is that, at least for me, and I think for many people that I've seen, actually, that have commented on when I've made such comments, we can't. There's a limit to how many watches we can own and still really get something from. I have found, I know you're not asking for the ideal collection size, but I have found that my taste getting smaller and smaller in terms of how many watches that I want to own. I have like 11 watches in my watch box right now, and I need to get rid of some of them. And it's hard, when you have watches that you really like and you're just not sure. But I really have found that 4 to 5 watches is what I can really enjoy at any one time, with an additional beater watch, which is sort of like, you're going to do yard work. But in terms of this idea of a few signature pieces, I really I find it very appealing, because in a way it's saying, the Sufis, I might have mentioned this in a past video, but the Sufis have a saying that you should live your life as if you're writing a letter. That's the last thing you'll ever do. Now, of course, that's a pretty huge burden to imagine living every moment like that. But I think that's the idea, is to don't act like everything is just trial. Everything is just preparation for real life. And I think we tend to do that. I know that I've done that a lot. I still do that, and it's something that I'm working with in terms of my own psychology and lifestyle. But the idea that life hasn't begun yet, that you're still in school. Now, of course, we're always still learning, but life began when we were born. It is all real, even your childhood. But especially when you become an adult, it's not. There's not necessarily going to be a second chance. So creating a signature collection, in a way, you're creating, well, what group of watches best represents who I am, and gives me the most tactile, aesthetic, ideological enjoyment, right? So I think the signature time, but the other thing is, I don't think there's a final resting spot. Whether you're 24 or 40 or 60, maybe once you get to 60 or so, you're less likely to swap things around. One of the viewers, Locutus de Borg, I think he's in his early 60s, and he has his 2 Rolexes. He's got a Daytona and a green Hulk, and I think it's no, I gotta pause here. I got my children coming up. Hold on a second. So anyways, I think I was talking about Locutus de Borg with his 2-watch collection, and I think he's looking for a 3rd watch. I think he says he's going to get it. I don't know. We'll get an update from him at some point. So for him, and I think for some who get to more advanced years, the process becomes slower. Just like in life, when you're in your teens or 20s or 30s even, you're still figuring out who you are. And hopefully by the time I think starting around, I don't know, it really depends upon the individual. Some people get crystallized really early on. But I think for people of somewhat complexity, it takes until your mid-30s maybe to really say, this is who I am. Maybe sometime in your 30s is usually like, this is who I am. And it doesn't mean that we're crystallized at that point and there's no change or development. But there's a basic maturation that's occurred. I think in terms of watch collecting, there's the first few years, depending upon, everyone has a different trajectory. Mine was very quick. There's a few year process for me, which I was like, okay, who am I as a watch person? And I kind of figured out what my taste was, and now I'm refining that. And it's not that I'm not integrating new flavors every once in a while, but I know who I am. I know what I like and what I don't like. Which is one of the reasons I don't ask for advice. I generally don't ask people which watch should I get. It's not that I'm not open to suggestions, but it's just that no one knows my taste like I do, right? So I think once you get that basic template, then you can play with the signature collection. You can play with that. All right, I've got another little child coming in. Hi, honey.
Daddy?
Yeah? You want to come say hi to the screen? All right, we'll just have a little brief hello. What's going on, honey?
Daddy?
Yeah?
No, it's not letting me look at this. I'm trying to put it in.
Uh-huh.
No, this not letting me.
Okay. Well, why don't we take care of that, okay? What is she listening to? Yeah? What's going on there, huh? All right, well, we're going to pause here for a second. All right, that was Margot, my 6-year-old. I generally don't like to show my children on screen because of all the weirdos out there on YouTube, but I think it's all right. Anyways, so back to this question of the few signature timepieces or the cultivation of a collection. And I think they are very different paradigms, but I don't think that they're antithetical to each. I haven't figured out how to do that though, where you're creating a minimalist experience of your signature timepieces, but if you have that desire to expand outward, I think most people veer more towards one or the other, but I do think it's possible to do both. I think in a way, it would involve a certain kind of ability to withstand chaos, or to be able to say, well, this is my signature collection, and this is all the stuff around it. But I don't know. I think that I don't think there's a true aficionado, a true watch collector. Just like there's not a true human being. My girls are fighting over usage of the stereo downstairs. Need to get them another one, little boombox or something for the rooms. Anyways, so yeah, I would have a hard time. I mean, I guess if I was in a position financially, I would be I know what I would probably end up doing. I would probably end up having a very large collection. And I'd have my watches that I was really fond of and wore all the time, which would be my quote-unquote signature sub-collection. And then I'd have this array outward. It would almost be like, imagine concentric circles. There'd be like this inner circle of my very favorite. These are the watches that are me. These are my signature timepieces. And then there'd be another circle. These are watches that are close but not quite. They maybe come in and enter the inner circle every once in a while, but maybe they move out again. I rotate them in every once in a while just to change things up. And then there might be this larger circle of like, oh, I just bought that. I don't know why I bought it. I still have it. I'm too lazy to sell it because I have so much money and I don't care about, I don't need to sell it. So that's probably what I would end up doing realistically. And I'd probably always feel a little messy, like a messy office, like my office is right now, like having like, just too much stray ends. And I my personality type, my temperament veers towards that messiness, that stray ends. It's why I have these long rambles and not just this sort of cohesive signature video style, so to speak. And that's fine. I think that that's who I am, and that is my signature, right? My signature is the Johnny Casual Ramble. If I was trying to do something else, it would be inauthentic to who I am. So I think it's I think the answer is to go back to your actual question, Ambrosia, do you think one should own a few signature timepieces or cultivate a collection? I mean, I hate to say it, but it really is as simple as whichever feels right to you, whichever feels like the right thing to do. I would even say try them both. I feel like, we tend to be so focused, this is kind of related to what I was saying earlier. We tend to be so focused on trying to find the right way to do things and be afraid to make mistakes. But I think we need to make mistakes. We need to make mistakes to learn. We need to make, I'd almost say that it's best to take the wrong, if you're faced with two directions, it's best to take the wrong choice first, because if you take the right one first, you don't know it's the right one. You don't know it's like, this is what I'm supposed to be doing with my life. But if you go down a quote unquote wrong path, you get you say, okay, this isn't right for me. I'm going to go back or go across, forge a new way. And you really earn that right choice. I've often wondered what it's like to be born into a ton of money where you don't have to earn it, where it's just the world that you've always known. And what a kind of, there would be a kind of imprisonment to that. Because first of all, it's sort of like starting your collection with a Patek. You have a Patek at a very young age. You can't go down from that. You know what I mean? It's hard to, I mean, there's lots of great watches that are quote unquote lower tier than your Patek. I mean, your Cartiers are a step down, certainly. But yeah, I mean, I think there's something about, we need to screw up. We need to make mistakes. And I think, like with your question, with these two possibilities, why not try both on? Especially you're 24 years old. Like dabble with who you are as a watch collector, as a watch aficionado and enthusiast. There's no right or wrong way to go about it. There's not like this. This is the way to do it, and the people in the know have figured it out. I think some people like to sell that. Some people like to. All right, I apologize, especially to Ambrosia, for starting and stopping this video again and again. I've home with my girls. This is summer vacation. um, anyways, so yeah, I was saying that some people like to sell that they've found the way. They've found the right way to do things, and then they they try to like promulgate that, because we human beings tend to feel better about themselves when they can convince others that they're right. So it's hard though to do what I'm advocating. Now you could argue that I'm doing the same thing, but what I'm advocating for is not that you follow my approach, but that you find your own. And so I want to be careful when I say that I'm suggesting to you, Ambrosia, that you try out both sides of your question. Because I think if you have a strong sense of who you are and who you are as a collector, as a watch person, you might not need to just cultivate a collection. But if this is something that you're really questioning within yourself, then it might be worth it to dabble a little bit, I mean, for me, and again, this is the Johnny Casual philosophy for life and for watch collecting. Figuring it out, getting to that point, is finding out who you are, whatever that means. Whether you're somebody who owns a few signature timepieces and that's it for the rest of your life, whether you gradually evolve that signature small collection, or whether you're somebody that likes to expand outward and embrace a wide variety of watches. You might go through different phases in your life. You might go through phases where you are really minimalist, and then other phases where you're really expansive and you try all sorts of things and just have a huge, massive collection. I mean, I think part of the purpose of this whole thing is to explore the possibilities of what is. Explore like who I am, and not necessarily jump to a the final spot, especially really young. But I think it's actually a shame when we tend to think, well, you can figure out who you are as a teen and 20s, but you can't. I mean, I'm always impressed with people that are like in their 50s or 60s and they start painting, right? Or they pick up a musical instrument. I was actually thinking of picking up a musical instrument. I've dabbled with a couple instruments, did a little bit of bass guitar and sitar, the Indian classical instrument, but I never really developed it. And the older I got, I started thinking, well, it's too late. I won't get any good at it, which is just bullshit. I mean, that's such a cop out, really. You know, if I was talking, somebody else was saying what I just said, I would say, don't listen to that. Just be present with what you really want to do. You know, be present, explore the things. I mean, we only get to be ourselves once, regardless of whether you believe. I mean, maybe, you know, I think Nietzsche said that we live the same life over and over again, which is kind of a nightmare. But maybe you're a Hindu or a Buddhist, and you believe that we're reborn, but you're going to be reborn as somebody else. You might have there might be a similar soul quality, but you're only going to be Johnny Casual or Ambrosia or Archie Luxury once. And what a cool thing that is. And I mean, it really makes the whole thing quite precious, doesn't it? It's like this is the only time that Johnny Casual has existed or will exist. There's only one of me in all of existence. I am a microcosm of the totality, and therefore I get to be something truly unique. And I really shouldn't waste it. I shouldn't waste this opportunity. But wasting it isn't necessarily not doing everything possible. I think wasting it is not tasting the marrow of who I am in this life, whatever that is. And that is the signature timepiece. That is like your signature timepieces are an expression of being who you are in this life, being that unique individual that is Ambrosia. That clearly there's a very thinking, interesting person in this email. And why not explore who that is in a really full way, whatever that means to you. You know, I'm not saying quit your job, your corporate lifestyle. Be who you are in that corporate lifestyle, you know, but really explore it and see what happens. I hope that I don't know if I really addressed your question. I kind of, you have many questions, really, to be honest, and I could have just rambled on for days. But I think I hope I got to some of it there at least. Yeah, so let me know what you think. All right, later, folks. And it is a woman named Ambrosia. And this is the first watch collection video from a woman that I've done, which is, you know, it's kind of nice to get some female voices into the mix. Ambrosia sent me an email about a week ago, and I'll read it to you in a moment, but it's just really thoughtful. I really appreciate yeah, I think you guys will like it. Anyways, her video, just as sort of her email, women, you gotta turn the music down just a little bit. But my question is really more of a philosophical one. If you do, I was hoping to get some insight. Now, just to respond to that, of course, I do videos for everyone. I'm not biased against women at all. I don't know anything about women's timepieces. I haven't researched that at all. I've kind of hinted. I've tried to get my wife to consider me buying her a watch, but she just doesn't. She's not interested at all. She doesn't have that bug. So. Anyways, so if you do, I was hoping to get some insight. I'm a 24-year-old corporate lawyer, and I currently own 3 timepieces: a Cartier Ballon Bleu steel, which functions as my day watch on the weekends. For example, I wear it to brunch, I wear it while playing tennis, etc. A Patek Philippe Calatrava ladies white gold, which is what I wear in a professional setting, in the office and at meetings, and a Cartier Tank Americaine. case in 18 karat pink gold, set with brilliant cut diamonds, strap in shiny black alligator skin with adjustable folding buckle in 18 karat pink gold, which is what I wear as an evening watch for more formal events. For example, good afternoon, folks. I am going to change up my technology today a little bit and try this video on my webcam on my new laptop and see how this works. So forgive me if the quality suffers in any way. Hopefully it will work fine. It seems to do fine in the with adequate lighting, but it doesn't work so well at night. Anyways, so this is I believe the 21st or 20th watch viewer video. It's not really a collection review at all, actually, I would say. Although I will show her collection and I'll talk about it. But it's more of a philosophical inquiry, so I'll just get to it. So I'll read Ambrosia's email. Hi, Johnny. I'd just like to start off by saying that I've been following your channel for some time now, and I thoroughly enjoy your videos, especially your more philosophical ones. Me too. I appreciate that. I don't know if you do viewer collection videos, entertain questions regarding timepieces for